world, actually, with this panel here. China's a very interesting place to do business. When people talk about relationships, it really is quite important there, but it's much more than how you and I think of relationships. There, they have an affectionate term for relationships called guanxi. And it really matters if you have it or you don't have it, because it opens up doors or closes doors for you. We spent a lot of time over the last many years developing those relationships when China was really a country that most people just saw as way over there and nobody really knew what was going on over there. The reality was we always knew that they were just blazing through media. It was just a matter of time until the rest of the world woke up and realized, wow, this country's really doing a lot of stuff. And one of those areas is animation. We spent a lot of time on animation even there, on mobile. So I can tell you a lot about China a little later if you have any specific questions on it, because there's a lot to talk about. So I think maybe the starting point is I'll start with my left, Eugenio. You can tell us a little bit about Televisa and what they specialize in, and then I can give you some questions.
Sure. Oh, well, hi. Thanks for being here. We at Televisa produce entertainment. We're a media company, and we produce content for the Spanish-speaking world. Currently, so you get a feel of our company, we're producing approximately 50,000 hours a year of television content, which we distribute throughout the world in more than 60 countries. A good example it would be the United States. Here our content is distributed and transmitted in Univision. Last year, 2006, 42% of Univision's content was owned by Televisa and sold by Televisa. Our top product is the novela, which we're distributing throughout the world for over 50 years. And that's translated into a couple of different languages and subtitled and sold throughout Russia, Latin America and Asia and everywhere. We at Televisa have taken our content and packaged it for mobile distribution. And what we're trying to do is take every specific property, every telenovela, every different program, and do all of the different mobile strategies and services that we can around them. We go from taking a soap opera and having not only the wallpapers of the stars, but also having different voice tones, ringback tones, greetings, taped greetings. We produce games sometimes for the different shows. We're trying to get control of the music around that, because as you all know, music is also a hassle. There's a lot of different people involved in music distribution. And we take this and we sell it to the different users in Mexico, which is our biggest business, but we're also distributing throughout Latin America and also here in the US. So that's a bit of what we're doing here in Televisa and what we're doing in the mobile world.
Thank you. And also later, he'll be happy to tell you about one of the game plans they have, and they're very successful at, is to take stars of the telenovelas and incorporate them to a mobile product or internet product. It's very smart what they do. That's why when it comes to Latin or Spanish speaking, this is the company. Okay, Ettore Bota, Sandra Carter Global.
Our company is based in New York and Los Angeles, and I'm originally Italian. Thank you very much for assisting at this panel. We have Sandra Carter Global is a company that has been operating now for 28 years, and we, of course, mainly being in the distribution and production of television programs and home video programs. But since emergence of new media, we now got into producing and distributing content for internet and mobile. Some of our programs that we are producing now are the Hollywood Reporter, for example. We do the Hollywood Reporter weekly show for both TV and mobile. So we tend to combine the television and the mobile, so that there is a cross-promotion between the television and the mobile as well. All the programs producing also is the Shop the World for Beauty Secrets, which are small vignettes of secrets of how to be beautiful. And we distribute this in 10, 15 territories around the world. And also some of the television content that we have been distributing for the past 5, 6 years, especially sport, we tend to read and make it into mobile content, small vignettes which is good because they are getting longer and longer. We started with 30 seconds now. We are producing also 2 minutes vignettes for sports and so on. So basically, we're looking at mobile as the distribution of the future, and we are very optimistic. Also are in other areas of mobile, like in television interactive applications, games, and sweepstakes, and we work with a company in Germany called Convisual, which has been in the interactive television market for the last 4 years in Europe. And we also look at the new distribution of mobile through Wi-Fi and WiMAX. Thank you very much.
Are you going to give us a secret of how to be beautiful? You got the video.
Oh, yes.
Okay, later on we're going to get that from you. As a quick segue back to China, which I'll do periodically as each one of them talks. In China, the good news and the bad news. Here's the good news. Between the 2 mobile carriers in China, you have 580 million cell phone users, growing at 100 million a year. So by the time the Olympics roll around next, August, 700 million cell phone users. That's the good news. The bad news is, for mobile content, is that they are very headstrong on waiting for 3G. And this is a country that could deliver 2.5G, 2G all day long, and they do some of that video content. But the China Mobile and China Unicom thinking process is this: if we branch off and start showing videos that are not user-friendly and the quality that we expect them to be with 3G, then when it comes, which will be before the Olympics, it's very likely that that's going to happen, then the user will already be tainted. Oh yeah, we saw that. We saw those already. That's not very good. Because they haven't seen the 3G part of it, they're already tainted on the 2 and 2.5G. So actually, it's a good strategy by the phone company because they're thinking about their future. They're not thinking about the dollar today, which, by the way, they're making $1 zillion, but that's here nor there. So, for video content in China right now, we own about 3,000 hours, or we've licensed about 3,000 hours. We have a lot, but we're finding where the obstacles are really is not whether the people would want it, whether or not China Mobile and China Unicom will let it come out, because they're scared about that taint issue. So we talk more about that a little later. Next is our friend John. He'll tell you about hip-hop and what's the mobile world of hip-hop.
How many of you guys buying ringtones? What kind of ringtones you buying? Music, hip-hop music, R&B music, rock music, pop music? Well, it's fortunate for the hip-hop culture. It's been a booming side of the business. A lot of times when we hear ringtones go off, it is an urban track, so I'm happy about that. One of the things that I'd just like to point out is that it all originates with the song, and yes, this technology is great, and yes, all the things that are going on, but at the end of the day, consumers love great songs, and that's why they respond very well to that kind of material. I think that from when I'm a 3-time entrepreneur, in the digital space. I started online. I built a hip-hop search engine in my 20s, and I built an A&R operating system for a major record company, an e-commerce system that sold artist merchandise. So I was always really close to what I thought consumers really wanted technology to do for them, and at the same time, ahead of the curve in reference to being an entrepreneur. When mobile came around, I had the opportunity to jump into that space as well. A dear friend of mine there turned me on to it, Mr. Bukowski, and said, hey, this would be a great opportunity for you to take a step in this direction. But we focused on solving a couple of challenges in the early stages, and that was that the major record companies and carriers, their margin was really squeezing out aggregators, so we built an entire system to acquire original content without all the DRM issues and without all the publishing issues that had higher margins associated with it. So we built a city manager network, content, and then we built a distribution network, all tier 1, 2, and 3 carriers in the United States, international carriers as well. Now when we acquire a piece of content, we can distribute it everywhere. On top of that, we do biz dev. So we match up our clients, our artists and producers and labels up with major corporations in business opportunities, joint ventures and strategic marketing partnerships and things like that. So it's a fun time. Glad you guys buying ringtones. Video coming. I'm looking forward to you watching some cool urban videos, and glad to be here.
So segueing back quickly to China, hip-hop's actually very popular in China. And hip-hop ringtones are popular in China, and there's a reason for that. The one thing about China is that it's all in Chinese or Mandarin. So that's a problem for Americans and other content providers who all of our content is in English. And they generally aren't going to spend the money, especially in mobile, to do any kind of translation or subtitling or anything like that. Video content's a little different. So let's think about Latin America. So Eugenio, why don't you tell the audience, what are you seeing as the most downloadable type of product right now, and where do you see the future going?
Well, right now what's happening in Latin America, and I see a couple of familiar faces that I know the market in Latin America and what's happening. There's a huge opportunity in Latin America. There's already 290 million cell phones out there, and it's a big market. It was about $800 million last. It's extremely growing at big steps. But the major content that's right now where we should focus, or where my business especially focuses and sees the most income is basically text messaging still. Why text messaging still? The handhelds in Latin America are still not what you guys see here in the States. We do have the same models, but only a very small part of the population can afford these and these new technologies that can see video, that can download images. In Mexico, which is where I have most of my expertise in, still 50% of our ringtones are monophonic. So that speaks a bit about the kind of handhelds that we still have in Latin America. So we do have, that's why Latin America is very fond of horoscopes and very fond of psychics and very fond of diets and content, gossip and news, because most phones can handle that kind of content where you have text or get back text. You participate in trivias where you can vote on TV shows, where you can text messages that appear on screen. That works a lot. The other half of the market is still wallpapers. We're starting to see big steps going towards music and big steps going towards games, Java games. And games, people in Latin America really like games because it's actual content you purchase and you keep, and it has a great value, more than an actual cost. No, you can pay $3 or $5 for a game, which you normally know that games are sold for consoles in Latin America around $70. So it has a great value to pay just $5 for a game. It makes sense, but we do have the problem with the technologies. No, still, not all cell phones can support Java games, and those that can, you still have problems with some games that are not compatible. All of the different handhelds.
And you're talking also about, when you say games, you mean the lower level games?
Yes, I mean the
old
lower level.
We're talking about Pong.
Don't even go up into 3Ds and multiplayers and all of that. That's there probably is a market, but it's probably the size, no, out there.
Okay, thanks. Gene.
Sorry.
As we, I want to segue into videos real quickly, because there's actually a friend of mine, is Frank Chindamo, he's in the back over here. He owns a company called Movies. Just to tell you how the Chinese think, and something that Frank did, this is a good PR for you, Frank, you owe me. Frank's known me a long time, and I've always told him, he's had over thousands of short videos. They're really very good, but they're not in Mandarin. So to the Chinese viewing audience, if you're going to look at a mobile anything, it's better be funny. Now, it better be candid camera, kind of funny gag stuff. Like if you've ever flown to the Far East, you see on the planes, they always run those candid camera gag things. Why? Because there's no dialogue. So I told Frank, and he actually got a partner together, and he's producing Mandarin, his show's in Mandarin now. And so we're looking really forward, Frank, to taking that back over to China with you. It's going to be great fun. So, Mr. Video, talk to us about videos, because you guys are the king of the video delivery. You have a lot of content. What do you see is in the market now?
Well, the video really is, it's at its beginning on mobile, I think that everyone knows. We haven't been experiencing the boom yet of the wallpapers and the ringtones. I mean, we are kind of battling to get the video out there on the mobile phones and to get the users to actually look at it, because the technology is just beginning now, and in some territories, for example, also the United States is still very difficult. There are still very, very few users who can download video, who want to watch video. There are some of programming that is beginning to do very well. Apart from the adult programming, there is weather, there is news, and there is sport. So we are concentrating on the sport, and we are concentrating in producing programs that is sport-related. Last year, for example, we produced several programs on soccer because of the World Cup in Germany. And we were very successful. And I must say that it surprised us that on the soccer sport programming, we were actually getting advances. We were getting minimum guarantees, which is very difficult to get on any other content. And this brings me to another situation that we are facing now, and that we produce, and obviously production is it costs. And when we sell, we have to sell for some kind of minimum guarantee. We have to get some revenue as fast as possible to cover our production costs. And if it's not sport, if it's not soccer, we are not getting that. And that makes it very difficult on us to produce new content, good high quality content. So we have to go back and try and regurgitate of some of the content that we already produced for television and put it out onto video. So this is a challenge that we are facing right now. And I would say until the mobile operators are seeing that, unless they are prepared to risk and spend some money and pay some upfront money to content providers, they are not going to get really what they should be getting and what we would like to give them.
Okay. Yeah, and actually in China, you know, where the videos are really popular is on the internet. And so you do have a lot of free videos floating around there, that's for sure. But the ad revenue market in China is very good. It's kind of like our old model from 2000, 2001, the dot-com era. They learned from those lessons, but to lose money, basically. But the reality is they'll charge a nice advertising fee, and they'll share that with you as a content provider. And they're pretty good about it. I don't have an issue with accounting in China. You have the right partners, you're okay. You know, if you don't, then you have a problem. But I've been there for 20 years. So, you know, I have the right partners in everything that I do. Okay, John's doing something very interesting. He's one of the leading developers of mobile coupons and mobile ticketing. John, why don't you give us a little heads up on that?
Yeah, I'm actually taking a very specific challenge that was on the subscription side of the industry, where Jamster was offering 6 ringtones and 3 pieces of wallpaper for a flat $9.99. Well, the churn rate on that was really high. So I think what was exciting about that is they were able to build a real significant revenue generating business up to, I think it was like $400 or $500 million a year by doing that. But the churn rate was really high, so they were spending a lot of money, about $20, $30 per subscriber. And the subscriber was sticking around for maybe 2 or 3 months. Well, I viewed this as an opportunity for us to say, okay, how could we give a subscriber the entertainment content that they wanted, yes, the ringtones, the wallpaper, but also create lifestyle benefits. And therefore, we saw the couponing industry as a great opportunity. And along came a company out of Australia called B-Code, and they had finally developed a great product that would allow us to deliver experience like this into someone's lifestyle. So very simply, it is a device that sits in lifestyle locations like nightclubs and fast food restaurants and retail outlets where you buy your clothes, movie theaters. And on the simple side of it, it allows you to skip the queue, so you never have to stand in line because you are a member of this service. Yes, once again, you get all your entertainment content, but you get lifestyle benefits. If you're at Burger King, you scan it and it gives you $1 off your burger because you're a member as well. Or if retail spot and you're a member, you scan and you get 15% off your clothing, whatever you're going to buy. So this all being for either one, an ad-supported model or a subscription model is really the great opportunity, I think. And I think as we move mobile along, it is going to be a lot more than just about the entertainment content that we want or the information content that we want. And we're going to have to look at lifestyle benefits. How can we leverage the technology to improve someone's quality of life? So that's what it's about.
I want to talk about a subject that will make a lot of sense to everybody in this room, but I'll tell you, it didn't make any sense to the Chinese. And that subject is branding. And everybody here understands it because we all do it pretty much in everything that we do. But in China, it's very interesting because in most ways it's illegal. And what I mean by that is that where you would like to have your name or your product associated or branded with a Chinese company, Chinese station, a Chinese business, something in China, so there's eyeballs seeing it, whether it's internet, television, IPTV, broadband, whatever. Ultimately, that's your goal. But the problem is, advertising is illegal in China for foreigners. So what I mean by that, McDonald's doesn't have a television commercial in China. They don't, it's not McDonald's and a whole commercial of McDonald's. Starbucks doesn't run television commercials. Microsoft doesn't have a commercial. What they have are co-branded kind of pseudo deals with the Chinese government, which is something that I do. And that would be something like, McDonald's presents, and there's the McDonald's logo, McDonald's presents, and you don't see it again. But the 300 million people that saw that television show that night saw that. So it's how you do it in China, staying within the circle the government puts you, and don't try and go around it, don't try and puncture it, stay there, but you got to have the right partners to do it. Because if you don't, you're going to waste a lot of money. I can give you some nightmares if anybody wants to write me about big American companies that have failed in China and why they have failed, because they tried to go around what the China now. But let's talk about branding on the mobile now. My experience in Latin America has been that they are only, as a culture, and they're all different cultures, but as a culture, they're only interested in branded products. Am I correct about this? And do you focus on non-branded or just branded?
Yes. Local branded products have definitely been big sellers compared to non-branded or non-local products. People in Latin America need some kind of an identification with what we're doing. We are very fond of our TV stars, we're very fond of our cartoons, we're very fond of our music. We are very fond of our roots, and we're very fond of our families. So if we see a content that we are connected to, it's probably a content that we're going to buy. If we see a content that we do not know, maybe some people will say, oh, that's cute, I'll get it, but it's something that really won't work. There are many companies in Latin America that distribute content. Most of us have the bikini girls, and most of us have the guys with their shirts off, and those are big sellers. But most of them are headless, or most of them are unknown or anonymous. But if you have, to speak in the same language, if you have a girl in a bikini, and you have Angelina Jolie in a bikini next to it, that's someone that's known. And obviously I say Angelina Jolie, but it will be someone different in Bolivia, someone different in Mexico, someone different in if you have a celebrity or if you have a familiar face, that will probably sell 20 to 100 times more than the unbranded one. And also this takes effect in the advertisement. When you advertise this kind of products, if you have a voiceover saying, download the picture of this girl, this famous girl, that will probably sell very well. But if you have that girl saying, hey guys, I'm in a bikini, download, that will probably sell 20 times more, because our experience has been that people do need that kind of identification. If you have a diet service, you will sell tons more if you have a celebrity or a familiar face involved with that specific product. So we have seen that branded products definitely sell a lot more in Latin America, especially if they're local brands, or if they're brands the day-to-day living of each of the different people in Latin America.
Okay, so inquiring minds want to know, so what would a download of you in a bikini cost? Priceless. Priceless, very good. Okay, Etre, so in the video world, Sandra Carter has a lot of content, you have lots of different brands. What do you see as the top-selling brands for you?
Well, I would say that at the moment, our top brand is the program that we produced called the Hollywood Reporter. We managed to distribute the Hollywood Reporter now in 20 countries, 20 territories, and on television, and in mobile on 17. Because as I was explaining before, we found out that television and mobile, they can co-promote each other and cross-promote each other and create an awareness. For example, I was marketing the Hollywood Reporter in Japan, and the Japanese were saying, nobody knows the Hollywood Reporter, it's just not a brand. And I said, well, give me 3 months and I'll show you that it's going to be recognized as a brand. And so I went to several companies, and we managed to get the Hollywood Reporter vignettes, which are 80 seconds on some of the mobile phones. And then I went back to the broadcasters and I said, there it is. People are downloading it. People are looking at it. There is a brand there. And they then license also for television. So, and now the mobile companies and the broadcaster, they are now together and they cross-promote on the program. And basically it's all a strategy. For all the co-branding, I mean, we talk about branding, I would say also, as Eugenio was talking about, I think it's very important is the personalities and the celebrities. That is very important, branding of the content. If I have a soccer content with Maradona, I will be able to sell it on mobile much more than just any other soccer player. And I think this is also very important. And I don't think just in Latin America, but everywhere in the world, we tend to recognize the brand and be much more, we tend to much more be security-wise in downloading something that we recognize, that we are confident that it's going to be something that has got quality or a memory in ourselves. So I think this is very important. Branding and celebrities, it's one of the biggest issues. And thank you very much. Yeah, that's
So when you're talking about celebrities, actually Televisi does something really smart that, as a lawyer, this is something I really appreciate in the art of the deal. They have their telenovela actors, who are all really famous people in their broadcast, sign off where they own the rights to use that image in the character any way they want. Don't pay them any more money. So as long as they're in the character from the show, they own all the rights. Now, if you took them outside of that or a candid shot, of course, you'd have to negotiate a deal with them. But the brilliance of that is at the beginning of the deal, that really is the art. You want to lock up an artist or a celebrity as soon as you can for all their rights, if it's possible to do that. In the States, it's all obviously difficult because everybody thinks they're worth so much money for each media. Okay, so John, call me naive. It seems to me that what you're doing in coupons and ticketing is the definition of massive brand identity if it's put together correctly.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. I think when we talk branding as well, you know, it is a great opportunity, but it's a lot of risk associated with it. Marrying the wrong brands change. The identity of a brand can change, especially when you're dealing with celebrities and their rocky careers. They're you know, really successful at one point, or may make a wrong move in their career and be on the other side of the branding issue. So there's just a lot of things that go into that. When we approach before I answer that one, but when we approach the branding brand opportunities, there's as an artist, a young artist, you try to find what's credible about them, and then you try to marry that with a company that there's some common lines of interest there. So most recently we found a country girl in the middle of the country, U.S., and did a deal with her in Starbucks. Well, how do those go together? You have to really know how that comes together and bring that to market. And of course, we take it digital first. On the couponing side, just to jump on that question, is that we definitely know that that's the way of the future. We've got to get away from not listening to the subscriber. The subscriber is speaking really loudly. They have life needs, and they want to save money. They want a way to make payments, and they're speaking really loud and clearly about this kind of stuff. So if we can deliver the kind of technologies and products that allow them to do that and facilitate that, I think it's going to be great. Anything else? Okay, cool.
I wanted to jump into gaming real quickly. I think there's some people in this room that have an interest in that. Part of the problem with like China and gaming, and let's just talk about mobile and online, it's really the same problem, is that The Chinese demand the source code in order to put you on their deck for like China Mobile or China Unicom. Now, I know it sounds sexy and enticing that you got 580 million potential downloaders for your product, but once you give up the source code, you really don't control the product anymore. It's like that. You know, it's hard to control a patent that you just give away and you're not there working it every day. So I have one partner in Helsinki that has 5,000 games, and they do 50 to 100 new every month. And I have the worldwide these guys. I've been trying to put this in China for a long time, and I haven't been successful at it because they won't give up the source code. So I was thinking about the relationship to Eugenio, because I was asking him today, do you guys demand the source code? He said, no, give me the game, let's go. You know, that's how you're going to make money. It's right here. Talk to me about gaming in Latin America.
As we see the handhelds getting more advanced technologically and being more available, that they're more available to download these kind of new games and whatnot, we see a great gaming. Actually, Televisa is launching a game brand so that we can focus only on mobile gaming, and it's not a Televisa associated brand, and it's not one of our main brands, but it's a completely different brand just focused on gaming, because we do believe that gaming is going to be a very important part of mobile downloads in Mexico and Latin America in the end of this year or 2008. So we're also starting to explore developing specific games for our different or taking games that are already out there and fixing them up and changing a few things so that they can be associated with some of our properties, because as we discussed a few minutes ago, brands are very important, and the association of brands to people are very important. We have done this successfully with very easy games like darts and like billiards and like Tetris, where what happens now is that one of the celebrities is revealed as you go on in the levels, which is very basic stuff, but it's a really good seller when you have one of the hot celebrities, and when they are also in bikinis or when they're in bathing suits, and they start uncovering themselves. That sells very, very well versus just having a regular Tetris game. No, I no, but I'd be more than glad to send you one. I know this is an example of how we take games that are already out there and just fixing them up. Our different brands, and we're also starting to produce specific games. If you guys are in touch with Latin America, you probably know El Chavo del Ocho. So we just launched El Chavo del Ocho game, and it's a specific game for El Chavo. We're about to launch the Rebelde game. So we're working on specific brands to produce specific games for these different brands. Because we really do believe that eventually games in 2008 will take a big part of the chunk of the market and downloads.
And John, are you seeing any value to attaching like the mobile coupon and ticketing to gaming?
Yeah, it's back to the entertainment experience. You know, the good thing about the Media Hub is what we call it. You can make purchases, ringtones, wallpaper, images, games, and all that directly from the device in a lifestyle location. So you can play games on it if you wanted to. You can interact with others playing games in a venue. So entertainment experience. So yeah, there's exactly.
Ettore, talk to us a little bit about what you see mobile interactivity.
Well, mobile interactivity, we were talking about games just now, and that is basically incorporating games, because that's where the viewer can play a game on television through their mobile telephone. And this is a field that is very, very new here in the United States. In Europe has been already going on for 3 or 4 years, and it has been quasi successful in Europe. There has been some very successful games like, for example, filling a car with golf balls, and then the viewer has to guess how many golf balls are in the car, and then they will get a prize. And of course, the interactivity is done through their mobile phones, and this is one game. But there are so many that they've been invented, and they are in a way migrating into this country when there will be a little bit more easiness from the side of the viewers to know how to send SMS and MMS. I'm talking about from the the great majority of the viewers. So we are looking at developing games in our company that will be played through television, through interactivity. And this is an aspect I think it will take off very, very big in the near future.
Yeah, and I would put an exclamation point on that for China in that they are just in 2006, just this year, or just last year, developed IPTV network. And they went, I have one of my partners has one of the licenses, Shanghai Media Group. There's only 4 companies that have licenses in all of China. They went from like, I don't know, 1,000 subscribers to like 1.5 million in like 6 months. I mean, that's the kind of bizarre, rapid, weird growth in China for anything that's new media. They really have never seen any of these things that we're all used to. So if you've got a product, you've got a vision, you have ideas you'd like to take to China, you know, there's ways to you need to have the right consultant or the right person that really knows the way around so you don't waste a lot of money, a lot of time. So that being said, I'd like to open it up. If anybody has any questions for any of the panel members, we'd love to answer them. Yes?
How much lead time would I need to integrate some of these programs you talked about, whether it be a text messaging contest or some type of mobile application?
Okay, I can answer that really easily in China. If you have any, first of all, you'd have to like get the interest level.
All right.
That's at least 2 or 3 trips. So you have to understand that.
Or even,
So yeah. Okay. You're looking at China for mobile has a 90-day free period. So and this is just one game, right? I mean, for content, normally there's 90 days free to the public because they want to test it. They don't want something going out they're not going to make money on. It's just that simple. Okay, internet is 30 days. So it's a test period of that. If they like it, within 60 days you'll be on deck.
Okay.
So figure 5 months. You know, you're on the deck, people are buying it.
Yeah, I'd like to get your cards before I leave, so. Okay.
Right, exactly.
Thanks.
Okay, sure.
There we go.
For Eugenio, speaking of, I know we didn't talk too much about video in Latin America, but being that a lot of your novelas and your content is exported to, say, in Brazil or in other places, how are you guys thinking of handling, is it going to be dubbed, subtitled, and more or less how long is that content? Are you thinking, you know, 5 minutes, 7?
Yeah, video is a complicated product still in most Latin American countries because handhelds are not all handhelds are video capable. The networks of the carriers are not top of the line, and data transport is still very expensive. So in some situations you can download a 1-minute video which probably costs you $1.50 and pay $4 for the transport data, so it makes absolutely no sense. So that's still very complicated, but it's something that's starting this year. It probably will start making money by 2008, 2009, but it's something that's starting, no, in Latin America. How do we take our content? Currently, we have important distribution of our mobile content in Brazil. And the content is translated to Portuguese. The rest of Latin America will there's absolutely no problem. And what we will do is in countries like China or countries like Russia, we will probably go with the same model of the specific product that was taken there. If a telenovela is transmitted in Russia and was translated to Russian, probably the mobile content will also be translated to Russian because it will be done by the same team. If it was only subtitled, well, if it's something that can be subtitled, we'll sell it. If not, no, because if you have subtitles in a mobile phone, you probably will just see a line, so it makes no sense. I don't know if that answers, yeah?
I wanted to make one more point that's really important. The Olympics coming up next August in Beijing, there's a frenzy in China right now. It has been there for about 2-3 years. Everything that the Chinese do and think and say relates to the Olympics, even if it has nothing to do with the Olympics, which, by the way, most of the time it doesn't. That kind of game, if you marketed it correctly, if you get the right partner